I'll be sharing one of my testimonies about how God has taught me to persevere and trust God in everything. For those who may not know me, my name is Gevanya Mantiri Jr. I was born in the United States of America into an Indonesian family of 6. I spent most of my life here on this beautiful campus of APIU. I grew up here, my dad teaches, and my sisters here go to school. Until the 10th grade, my parents decided to send me back to the US to study abroad with my sister. At first, the thought of returning was great. I would have more time to myself, away from my parents and the rules of the house. Until I was informed that I was to attend a boarding school. And this is not some ordinary boarding school that everyone thinks it is. But it was, this school is called Harvard Hills Academy. And I was informed that this school was really strict in a lot of things. My mind was not prepared for this. But the thought that I didn't have a choice really gave me the opportunity to really train my obedience and prayer life with God. So for those who may not know, boarding schools like this is very conservative. It has dress codes, and our school is a only vegan diet, and we have like work, and we have like no access to the internet. So I do not know anything that happened outside campus. So at this thought of it, when they informed me of this information, when they told me that I couldn't have all this, it really sounded like prison to me, but which was a little bit really depressing at that point. But really, I thought it would be a good experience and journey for me and my personal relationship with God. Well, little did I know that this was the start of a journey of life that will open my eyes to things that I would not have seen if I didn't go. Finally, when I arrived on the campus, I was not too enthusiastic about the place. And given the fact that it was still summertime, there was at the most, 10 students on campus. This really didn't really encourage me, but the only thing that really pushed me to do things there is that they gave me time to call my parents. And before this point, I never really talked with my parents, like, one-on-one conversations and stuff. But the fact that the trials and tribulations I was going through really opened my eyes that my parents are always there and have always been there to guide me in the things that I do. So that's one of the lessons that I learned. So my parents, I used to call them every day, telling them like how my experience was at the school. Because during my time there was work. The work was part of the curriculum of the school. It came in many different forms, such as construction, baking, working in the cafeteria, and in the nursing home, where they take care of residents, old elders. Working at the same time as studying was really tough for me, because I wasn't used to working 8 hours to 4 hours, 4 to 8 hours a day. It really drained my energy every day. The only thing that really kept me going was my parents' word of encouragement. Finally, one day, my parents encouraged me to read the book of Proverbs. I read the book of Proverbs, but the one that really I loved was the chapter 3. I'll share one of the verses later on, but this little thing that I never really thought was a blessing to me really opened my eyes to like little things that God puts in our ways to help him grow closer to him. So every day I would call my parents, and they'll share a little Bible verse to me, and I would read that Bible verse. Before I go to bed, I would contemplate and reflect on how that verse will help me and the things I'm going through at that time. The experience there really helped me to grow spiritually, socially, and physically, because they really taught a lot of skills. Like there's a class that was carpenting. Carpenting is when they make stuff out of wood, and a lot of things there are really connected with Jesus. And I was really intrigued when I heard a lot of their testimonies in the school, where they really went through harder times than I did, and that God put them through that so that He can really open their eyes to show them who He really is and that He's actually waiting there for you, but we just ignore Him. At that time, I was really struggling, but after a while, when my parents gave me the word of encouragement and the Bible verses, I really got used to the schedule of life before I was at work, and that really helped me to interact with more of the students and to be more active in church and more of the programs, AY. But I think God has really sent me to that school to develop and to train me to become a better person and to walk into God's path and His will. So I believe that God has many plans for everybody, but it's really up to us to choose. And the choice is ours to make for the future, and that we should really depend on God on whatever we do, and that we should focus on what God has to say for us, and to really meditate on His Word, and to know that He has something in store for us, something great. Even when things aren't going really well, when things are hard, and you don't know what the end is, and just know that God has a purpose for you in life. That in the end, there is always the path that God always wanted you to go. It's just He had to put you through all this and to build you and make you a better person. So I'll be sharing a few Bible verses. One of them is found in Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. You can open with me there. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." Another verse that my parents really gave me is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." So if there's really one thing that I would like everyone to take from this experience of mine, is that when things aren't going to plan, just surrender everything to God's will, and that He will direct you into the best paths that He has. Because God's way is always the best way in our life. Thank you. Now it's the missions part.